Hi guys, and welcome to how to low tier Japanese destroyers. And before we get started, I would like to say that this is my opinion. This is how I like to play my destroyers, and if you disagree, then leave a comment. It doesn't mean that this is the only way to play them, but I feel that it really works for me, so who knows, some of the information in this video might help other people as well. So without further ado, let's get started. There are some things you probably should do before you take your ships out in the first place, and that is, well, getting to know that ship. It's always nice to know what your ship can and cannot do. So, what you need to look at, you can argue if this is very important, but I felt like I should include it. So, starting off with the artillery, look at your guns. See how far they can shoot. I mean, you can see this in the game as well, but it's nice to know. And here you can see at 6.7 kilometers, so you can't really shoot at people far away. Well, I should mention this is without the captain's perk of getting an extra 20% range, but either way, this is the base range for your guns. So it's not great, but it's nice to know. Torpedoes. This is your main weapon when you play Japanese destroyers. You need, well, to get good at them, I would say that you should practice a bit in not random battles, but the co-op ones, just to get a feel of things. But either way, as you can see, 8 kilometers, and they're on the slow side. Well, the reload is something like 20 to 24 seconds, I believe, and you can have like 3 sets of torpedoes in the water at the same time because they're so slow. But well, it's kind of nice. So that is pretty much what you need to know about this ship. Concealment is probably the most important thing you need to worry about when you play the Japanese destroyers. You don't want to get spotted unless, well, you have no other option. So the number here is 5.4, that is with camouflage, so it is 5.6 without it. Know this number, memorize it, because you need to keep it in mind when you play this thing. You don't want to get shot at too much if you can avoid it. Okay, so now that we're familiar with our ship, let's take it into battle. And as you can see here, I put up, well, it's just a random game. No specific reasons for this one, but it shows what I want to talk about. You have the 2 team lists, and what you should is focus on the other one. You need to know what ships you're up against, and I would say try to memorize the enemy destroyers, because those are the ones that will spot you either first or almost. They're the ones who will make your life hard, in the beginning at least. The other ones, you will see them long before they see you. So get familiar with those destroyers on the enemy team. Mostly look for the Japanese, because they have low detectability, same as you. The American ones, a little bit less. You will normally spot them a kilometer or 2 before they spot you. So that's it. Look at the enemy ships. Look at the map as well. But at least now, memorize the ships. Sorry for repeating myself, but it is important. When you log into the game and you see the map, try to plan what you're going to do. Don't just sail off in a random direction. I just chose this map just because it's a low tier map, and well, why not? So if you start down south, I would say don't go where I'm indicating with the arrow. That is where destroyers normally go to die, but that doesn't mean you should go there in a Japanese destroyer, because you rely on your torpedoes. Those islands, yeah, you can ambush people, but people can also ambush you. So I would say stick to more or less open waters, and yeah, try to avoid those islands if you possibly can. But plan ahead, don't just do random things. So specifically on this map, what you can do is, as the arrow is indicating, sail north in between those 2 islands, because they're far enough apart so they don't create a problem. However, this means you sail into the middle, and I wouldn't recommend this, because you are in the middle, and if you get spotted, everyone practically on the enemy team will be shooting at you. But if you feel adventurous, it can work. but it's really up to luck. If no one else sails in there, or at least no enemy destroyers, you can get away with it. You can get in there and torpedo people left and right. But yeah, like I said, it is very random if it works or not. So what I mostly do on this map is that I sail up north all the way east, because, well, you do have the border of the map on one side, but, well, you're far enough away from those islands on your left, so you won't get ambushed by anyone. You will see them before they see you. So yeah, I like it. I tend not to get too close to the island that is, well, as far north, the little one, because you never know who's waiting behind it. And yeah, I mean, poke up there, circle back, see if anyone is coming your way. Play it safe. Don't push too hard. At least not in the beginning. When ships have died, then maybe you can be a little bit more aggressive. This tactic is mostly for American, well, and Russian destroyers, but it also works for the Japanese ones. It doesn't mean that you should just sail up there and wait the rest of the match, because, well, your team might complain. But it's just to show, like, you can hide between behind a random island, and if anyone comes, you launch your torpedoes from close range, and yeah, you get a nice surprise kill, hopefully. It is always a good strategy because you can keep the island between you and them, so it's very, very safe. It works with every island in the game, but again, it's mostly for American and Russian destroyers because their torpedo range is not that good, so they rely on stuff like this. You don't have to, but you can if necessary. It kind of depends on the situation, though. Let's go back to the option of sailing back into the middle. Let's say you go up here and you get spotted. Well, actually, before you get spotted, when you decide to go up here, have in mind what you're going to do if you get spotted. Know where you can go, because if you continue straight ahead, well, yeah, you're probably dead. So you need to know what to do, and here are, well, what I would say my two options for this map, this location specifically. So in the case you get spotted, I would say left or right. You may not have the option of turning around depending on where you are in regards to the two islands, because you don't want to get stuck on those. So if you turn right, you will kind of exit through the narrows on your right. If you turn left, well, you can kind of circle that island and get back to where you started. Either way, you will be able to pretty much escape. I mean, pay attention to the map. If you see a ton of ships coming down over to your left, don't go that way, turn right, and the same if the enemy ships are coming down over there. Pay attention to your mini-map, always. But have your exits planned out before you get into trouble. It always helps that you know what to do, and you can point your guns and whatnot the right way. Okay, so let's talk about the consumables you have on your ship. The first one you will see is the repair, which you use or activate by pressing the R key. At least that's standard. I'm not sure if that can actually be changed, but I'm guessing it can. What it does is that it fixes, well, puts out fires, fixes flooding, if modules are not working, like your guns are knocked out, your torpedo tubes, they will also be repaired. So it's a very useful thing to have and use, but using it at the right time is, well, key to sometimes surviving. When to use it, it's kind of hard to say, but since you are in a Japanese destroyer, it's really about, well, mostly fires. You want to control those, but at the same time, don't just go, oh my god, I'm on fire, and hit the R key to fix that. If you're going to be under fire for, well, let's say 20 seconds, which is how you are, well, how long you normally detect it when you have fired your guns, and then you stop firing, I would say wait until you're no longer detected, because as long as you are detected, well, you risk getting set on fire again. And if you just use this, well, you're going to burn for, yeah, depending a little bit, but 45-60 seconds, I think. And you don't want that. So that's definitely something to consider before you press that key. Also, if your steering or engine gets knocked out, well, you're a sitting duck. So that's also something that would or should get you to use the repair ability. But still, that being said, if you, let's say, fired your guns, you became detected, you took some fire, engine got knocked out, but you didn't fire your guns after that, and you know, like, 5 seconds, I won't be detected anymore, then don't use it. Maybe you can just, well, see what happens. Because you won't be detected, they won't shoot at you, and you can just wait until it repairs on its own. So you save it for, well, just in case. So it also kind of depends. Play it safe. If you feel like you're in immediate danger and if you don't use it you will die, well, use it. There is no reason to, well, get sunk and have this ability off cooldown. Might as well use it. So, yep, some things to consider before you press the repair. Next up is smoke. Before I start talking about when to use it, let's talk about how it works. The picture you're looking at right now, I did not make that. I'm not sure who did. I just found it on Google, but anyways, thanks to the person who actually did that. So, as you can see, those gray circles, they indicate smoke, because when you press that key, you're going to, well, send out these puffs of smoke. Basically, you create this circle of smoke, and if you stay inside the circle, you're safe. But a very common mistake is that people go too fast. As of the latest update, I believe, you have to go at a quarter speed to safely stay inside your own smoke. That is, if you continue sailing. Of course, you can just hit the brake and then use smoke. Of course, until you actually slow down to a 1/4, you will still be detected basically by enemies. So just because you hit that button doesn't mean that you automatically disappear. So, yeah. The higher the destroyer, I believe, the more puffs of smoke you get, or at least they last longer. At the lower tiers, smoke doesn't really last long, so you can't just pop smoke and sit there and launch torpedoes and fire your guns. But okay, let's get back to when. I would say when shit hits the fan, use your smoke. If there's no other way you can get out of trouble, use your smoke. Better to stay alive and safe, because if you get detected, yeah, you end up dead. But don't use it without reason. I'm not sure how many times I've seen some destroyer captain sail somewhere and just pop smoke and sit there. If you're not detected, then don't do it, because everyone else within visual range of you will, well, they won't see you, but they will see your smoke. So you will know that there's a destroyer somewhere around, most likely in the smoke. So you're giving yourself away. Don't do it. And also, I guess I should mention how the mechanism works. If you're inside of smoke, technically you can see outside that smoke and no one can see in, which means people outside are invisible to you and you are invisible to them. However, most of the time, someone outside the smoke, someone from your team, will be able to spot the enemies for you. And that's when you get this destroyer sitting in smoke, just firing guns, and you can't really do that much about it. You can get lucky if you look at the tracers and put some shots in there, but generally speaking, it's not that easy. So that's how smoke works. Use it to get out of trouble. Don't just pop smoke and sit there. Japanese destroyers, you want to use that smoke so you're no longer detected, and then get the hell out of there. You don't want to stick around. Well, if your torpedo reload is almost over, so you can just turn the ship around, launch those torpedoes, and then get the hell out, fair enough, but use the time you have to put some distance between you and the enemies. You will need that. So, that is smoke. And the last consumable you have is the engine boost, which, well, makes you go faster. It doesn't really make you go that much faster, but faster is faster. It is a percentage of your normal max speed, so depending on how fast your ship is in general, well, the percentage increase stays the same, but the actual increase in speed goes up. When to use this? Yeah. When you need to get somewhere faster, use it. Or if you need to get out of trouble. It really doesn't do that much. I mean, I use it frequently, but if I have to go and reset a cap, if I have to catch up to a carrier, whatever the case is, if I need to close in fast to get a battleship, I use it as well. But really, it doesn't do that much. I mean, it helps, but it's not a game changer, I would say. What else can we talk about? That's really all there is to the engine boost. Oh yeah, almost forgot. When you activate this, you will probably, well, you may notice that your smokestacks, the smoke will go from a grayish color to a more like a blackish color. That is one way you can detect if an enemy destroyer is using the speed buff. So keep an eye on that smoke. If it's basically black, it's because this thing is activated. So that can have something to say when you aim your shots with your guns, not really your torpedoes. So that is the engine boost. Okay, so let's talk about firing your torpedoes. You're the one in green here, and the enemy is, well, red, as in the game, I suppose. But if the enemy is coming straight towards you, launching torpedoes tends not to be the best option because it's very easy to avoid them. That guy will be able to sail between those torpedoes without too much of an issue. But, I mean, if you have no other option, you might get him with one, maybe two. But yeah, I wouldn't bet on that. So what you want to do is you want to have him, well, like the drawing here illustrates, that you launch the torpedoes at his broadside, no matter how you manage to do that. I mean, here I'm supposedly sailing either with him south, I forgot to put the arrow on, but either way, if he continues sailing as he is sailing in a straight line, those torpedoes, the black lines, will hit him right on his broadside. Easier to hit, and you will get more hits. He won't just take one torpedo. So that's the ideal situation. Now, in the case that you find yourself up against an enemy destroyer, the rules change a bit, because destroyers change course a lot, or at least they should. So just aiming where the indicator tells you to aim rarely pays off. I mean, there are people who just continue in a straight line shooting at you or whatever they do, and they will sail into those torpedoes. But if you're just a little bit good, you will change direction and speed and whatnot. So what I find is that I just launch my torpedoes like left, right, center, not because I'm expecting to hit per se, but it will force the other guy to change direction, and while doing so he won't be able to, well, return fire or anything else. So use those torpedoes of yours to, well, deny him, well, kind of the advantage. Make him maneuver and, well, focus on other things and actually killing you. And sometimes you do get lucky with those torpedoes anyway, because he will turn into some of them. Okay, so let's talk about guns. Your destroyer does come with guns, but that doesn't mean you should use them necessarily. But that being said, I can think of about 3 situations when using them is okay. So the first one I would say is for defense. If you have been spotted, someone is close to you and you can't really escape, you might as well use them, because, well, what's the point sailing around being shot at and not really doing much else? So if that's the case, I would say go for it. Use the guns. Even if you end up dying, well, you probably did a little bit of damage. That's better than nothing. So that was the first case. Second one, if you spot someone on very low health, and generally speaking, a couple of thousand hit points, also depending on what they are. If it's a cruiser, yeah, probably wouldn't do it if they have more than definitely 3,000. So keep that in mind. If it's a destroyer, you can probably get away with it, even if they have a bit more. But generally speaking, low health targets, yeah, go for it. You should be able to kill them fast. And the last one, well, enemies who are occupied. If you spot an enemy ship who is busy shooting at someone else that isn't you, yeah, you might as well. But again, it's a calculated risk. You start shooting, you get detected, they might switch to you instead of whoever they were shooting at. So again, calculate that before you do it. Is it worth the risk? If yes, open fire. If not, well, better not. Oh, well, and generally speaking, for all of these situations, look around you. If the enemy is alone, fair enough. You decide based on what I have talked about. But if that enemy is with friends, probably, yeah, don't fire your guns. It's going to end badly for you. People like to shoot at destroyers. So, yeah, I would say that covers guns. Okay, so let's talk about using your guns. No matter what your target is, have your guns all face the enemy, first of all. Here, as you can see with the little black lines, they indicate my guns. They are, well, pretty much facing that enemy ship. I don't have to pointing the other way. I mean, this happens automatically in the game, so it's pretty obvious. But when you start maneuvering, you need to know where these guns are pointed, because, well, Japanese destroyers, your guns don't rotate very fast. So moving too much when you have to avoid return fire is normally not, I mean, it is a good idea to avoid the fire, of course, and that should be your main objective, but if you can't do that, or you really want to kill this guy, he's not shooting back at you, he's shooting at someone else, make sure those guns stay on target as much as you can. So have them pointed at him, and now we'll see how you should be avoiding them. So I decided to turn to my right, or south, whatever you want to call it here. In that moment my guns are not pointed at him, so technically I can shoot, but due to the somewhat long reload, it's not a problem. You fire a salvo, you maneuver the ship, and as soon as that reload is finished, or nearly finished, or depending on incoming fire, of course, you can then maneuver again. So I basically returned to my original position here with my ship, and now all my guns can fire at him again. If you kind of continue this pattern, you will be able to keep all your guns firing at the target, not just one or two. And I feel this really helps. Well, depending on who or what you're shooting at, low hit points, target, you want them to die as fast as possible, because you don't want to take hits yourself. And for that you need your guns, all of them, pointed at them. If you continued turning to your right, so you go around in a circle, you have way too much time without those guns pointed at the enemy and shooting at the enemy. So it's basically just free shooting gallery for him until you complete that circle. I don't recommend it, but, well, it's up to you. Sometimes islands get in the way and you have to turn in a specific way, but this is the ideal situation, I find, at least. Okay, so the video is coming to an end, because those were the things I could think of regarding how to play low tier destroyers, well, Japanese destroyers, that is. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful, and if you have any comments, please leave them below. I'm always excited about, well, reading about what other people think, because my opinion is not the law or anything else. So if you have your own opinion, suggestions, please leave a comment, so maybe I can update the video and include some things that I may have forgotten. So thank you for watching, and until next time, bye bye.